What is going on, people? It's Matt from Liquid Loans, and in this video I've got a very special guest, someone who's got a really good channel full of great PulseChain content. So with no further ado, Mr. Micheal Morton. How are
How's
you
it
doing,
going,
buddy?
Matt? How's it going? Yeah, not too bad, man.
Great to see you. Thanks for making time for me. I know you're a busy guy.
No, it's cool. The kids are down, so I got a bit of time on my hands.
Nice. How's things down there in the Southern Hemisphere at the moment?
Oh, scorching. Yeah, it's hot. But I never like to complain about that too much. But
Yeah.
yeah, training hard. It's been good.
Sure. So for people that don't know who you are, I'm sure a lot of people do know who you are because I just want to say you've been making some great content. I've been loving some of your PulseChain content, the
Cheers,
comparison
man.
videos, really good stuff. Give us a little bio, bit of background about yourself and how you got into crypto.
Yeah, so I mean, I play professional soccer. I've been doing that for the last 12 years, coming towards the end, sort of mid-30s now, so winding down.
Yeah.
And my crypto journey sort of started 2017. Had a bit of Bitcoin and actually didn't get caught in the massive dip. I got lucky just because of sort of personal circumstances. I had to sell at the top in December, like at the top. So that's my
Wow.
little, like, I tell everyone I sold the top, but I actually had no idea what was happening.
Lucky,
But
man.
like we needed the money, so I
Mhm.
got out, and then I only got really back in again like post like 2020,
Mm.
2019, 2020, and then found Richard Hart pretty late, to be honest. Kicking myself. I blame crypto mass media, but I'm glad I'm
Furus.
finally on the boat. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I saw you come into the PulseChain ecosystem. Correct me if I'm wrong, but you came in because of the sacrifice phase. And then I kind of saw you on different streams, and there was kind of like the clickening happening about Hex and everything. Is
Oh
that
man.
correct?
Yeah, I found Hex sort of like it was Hex just a tiny bit before the Pulse sacrifice phase.
Mm.
So I mean, looking back now, I mean, it's almost a year now. Is it a year?
Mm.
It's like eight, 9 months.
Yeah, the good part of a year.
Yeah, and I'm looking now and I'm seeing all these people who are like regretting or not knowing about PulseChain launch, and I'm just like, now I'm grateful I got into that first. But obviously, when you realize what happened to all the guys in Hex, like a year and like 2 years previous, you're like, wow, if I'd found him a little bit earlier, things would be a little bit different. But I'm glad I found out about this community, like sort of PulseChain launch time.
Mm. It's crazy how fast things move because, like you said, 7, 8, 9 months ago, people like me and you who got into Hex and PulseChain in 2021, we were kind of kicking ourselves like, why didn't we get in before, big payday, or why didn't we find out about this because of the Furus? But now, just half a year or no, the good part of a year down the line, you hear so many people who are like, oh, I missed the PulseChain sack, or I'm getting into PulseX because I missed PulseChain. So it really is funny how time moves on like that.
Yeah, crazy, man. It's like what they always say, like a month in crypto is like a year in the real world.
Exactly. And it can age you like 10 years as well.
Yeah, exactly. No, it is. Unless
So you're
you're willing to hold, and then you chilled.
exactly, and like the name of your channel, right? Diamond Hands.
Yeah, I mean, I got caught up in all that sort of stuff. I think everyone, when they first got involved in crypto, saw the trading side of things and
Mm,
trying to flip a quick profit here and then. I mean, I think everyone realizes over time that doesn't work. Um, you're not gonna. I don't know. I don't anyway. I'm not a good trader, so it wasn't good for my mental well-being. It wasn't good for sort of
100%.
my mental well-being, like at home with family and everything. So I was
Yeah.
like when I could just stake things away, lock it away in a project that I believe in. I like, it's just a superior way
Mm.
of looking at it, in my opinion.
So did you get mixed up in a bit of BTC leverage trading then, like the rest of us?
I was never leveraged, man, but it was like jumping in and out of things. I'd be like,
Yeah.
oh, like this is where everyone's going. So I was like, I'd put everything there, and then I'm like,
Mm.
oh, this is where everyone's going. And I was like, you just keep missing the pumps because it's like, oh no, you're here, and then the next thing's moving, and it's like it's just too quick, and you're trying to chase the narratives, and
It's horrible.
yeah, and you trying to follow all these guys. You're like, oh, what did this guy say? Okay, then let me do that. What did this guy say? Let me do that, and you're just trying to like follow these guys, and then you realize like down the line, you're like, these guys don't know anything, and you look
Yeah.
at like the success rate of some of these guys that are shitting these different coins, and you're like, this guy's like had one decent call out of like 20, and you're like, and this is the guy I'm trying to take information from. So
It's the
it's just
blind leading the
yeah,
blind.
100%.
It's horrible. So I'm sure you were like me when you got into Hex and PulseChain and this ecosystem. It's kind of like a breath of fresh air, right?
Yeah, and then when you just listen to Richard talk, and you just like there's just so much truth in the things he says,
Mm,
and I think he's speaking to everyone who's experienced all these things. Like trading will get you wrecked. Like the only guys that win are like founders and holders, and you just like all these sort of things. And you're like, I wish like there were just more people that just told the truth in the space,
mm.
and it just feels like everyone's got like secret, like hidden agendas, and you realize everyone's earning money from somewhere else, and it's, yeah, it's I don't know. It's like it's tough when you're speaking to your friends when they're like trying to get a bit of information about crypto, and you're like I don't know like where to tell you to start, but I think like starting with Richard Hart's probably the best place.
Yeah, I think he resonates with so many people, or people that actually want to use their brain, right? A lot of people are looking for the when Lambo overnight. And
Yeah, I mean, even if you weren't to like maybe Hex is not your thing, maybe like that just doesn't appeal to you, like, but just to listen to him and like he's been in the space for so long, and he's there's a lot of stuff you can learn from him, even if it's not about like shilling Hex and getting into
mm,
Hex. Like I feel like you can learn a lot of stuff from him just about crypto in general.
oh, 100%. He teaches you how to not get scammed, use a hardware wallet. He talks about obviously no admin keys, true DeFi, and just don't trade. Even if you, like you said, even if you didn't get into Hex or Pulse or anything, even that advice alone would do you well. So I
Sure.
really do think it's like an IQ test, and it's good that me and you both found our home in the Hex and Pulse
Sure.
chain ecosystem. I love your channel, man. Like, how did you get? Because you obviously it happened so quickly for you over the summer, and then bam, what you were inspired to like make content straight away. How did that come about?
Yeah, man. So I was like, I jumped into the PulseChain Telegram group, and there
Mm,
was like a lot of guys like jumping around with ideas and all the speculation. I think like a lot of guys like to like do the moon boy maths in the thing, like, oh, this is how rich we're gonna be and whatever. So I was like,
mm,
I also needed to justify to myself sort of how much I was going to invest in PulseChain. So I went away and did this like massive spreadsheet of all like the layer ones and EVM chains and all their sort of returns over their sort of first 3 years and
that's
the
an
average
amazing video,
returns
by
and
the way.
everything.
That's an amazing video.
Yeah.
What on with that?
So yeah, I just did like this massive spreadsheet and I started spreading it in the chat and it's sort of like going around the place and I was like guys were enjoying it. So I thought, well, I'll actually make a video on this. And then when I did that, and then I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll dive into each like individual chain and what are the similarities and differences between say PulseChain and AVAX or PulseChain and Ethereum. Like what did Ethereum do in the first year? What did it do in? And I just started to dive into like all these projects and I was like, well, if that can do this and it doesn't have the like half the fundamentals that PulseChain has, then
Mm,
why can't Pulse do better or the same? And you're looking at like AVAX or whatever, where you're doing these comparisons. You're like, but those things are doing like 200x in like 18 months, and you're like, you got to run that comparison because at the end of the day, like there was this massive big like layer one narrative that went through crypto and it's still going through crypto at the moment,
mm.
and it's just like if you make those things, it's like hard not to invest in PulseChain when you realize what's really going on.
100%, man. Your latest video, I think it's an AVEX comparison with
Yeah,
Pulse. That
sure.
video, I watched it, and if you listen, if you haven't come across Mike's channel, shill it, Mike. What is it? Diamond Hands, right?
Yeah, Diamond Hands, just that's the name, and I've just done a couple videos on the comparisons, and I tried to do one on PulseX, which is actually a bit of a fail because I did it when I thought it was just going to be a fork of PancakeSwap. So I
Mm,
thought that it was just like we were just going to be looking at the cake token, like a fork
yeah,
of the cake token, and I soon realized that it was like it's a Richard Hart project. He's not
yeah.
just going to fork up the cake token and like PulseX. Like I like that video. I need to do like a whole thing to say like how wrong I
Mm,
was about what I think the returns will be on PulseX because I was like, well, Pancake swapped at like a 40x, Sushi swapped at a 20x. Like it'll do, and then you see what he's done with like the buy and burn, and you're like, okay,
mind blowing.
it's not gonna be on the same level as those guys.
Yeah, I mean, Cake was one of my best performers last year when I was DJing about, actually. And I mean, yeah, the same as you. When I heard about PulseX, I was like, oh, it's just going to be a fork of that, and there'll be the same, tokenomics and functions. But no,
Sure.
obviously not. Way
Yeah.
above that. Just like the system state copy of
Yeah, and there's still going to be
blockchain.
that incentive token, so it's not like there's still going to be that, and I'm sure he's going to put some spin on that incentive token as well. So that
I
will be
mean,
sort of your
fundamentals.
version of cake, but then you're still going to have PulseX, so we're just going to be sitting on all these like different coins. It's so exciting, man.
It's so exciting. And sorry, just going back to what I was talking about before, your latest video, if you haven't seen that, guys, go and watch that AVEX versus, you know, the comparison of what Pulse could do and might do and all the tech specs and stuff. And it just, I watched it the other day. I was having a coffee in a coffee shop. I watched it. I was like, man, I'm so pumped. You know, it's so exciting because like you said, a lot of these chains, there isn't much going on these chains, right? It's a lot of speculation and they're still doing very well. And you've got PulseChain, cheaper, faster, more efficient, proof of stake,
full system state,
system state copy. I mean, it's just it's mind blowing. Again, unless a meteor hits the Earth, how is it not going to even do half of what these things have done?
Yeah.
So,
and the main thing I tried to highlight in those 3 videos, I think was Solana, Ethereum, and AVAX that I've done so far, was like in those first, like in the first year, the first sort of 2 years, were like on 4 of those chains, there was like 3 massive, like 70% drops in those 3 chains. And it was just like reminding people, like, if you hold, like, there will be dips, like just expect it. Because even in these projects, everyone's like, "Oh, I wish I got into Ethereum early." It's like, yeah, but would you have held through all those dips? Like, would you have held through the 80%, the 90%? So I just like to highlight to those people, and I've shown them sort of like the roadmaps of what happened over like the first 2 years, because like all those chains went through massive 50, 60, 70% corrections multiple times in those on their way up to 200x, 250x, like with over the first 2 years. So it's not going to be like up and to the right. Like people, I mean, it just never works that way. People will be taking profits along the way. It's just how long will you hold, and will you see like your 200x or the 500x
or the 1000x,
or will you sell it
or
at
10,000x?
Exactly. Oh man, like when I hear some like I don't know, Gerardo was saying like 10,000x under 2 years, I was just like,
mind
it's
blown.
like I can't bring myself to believe it. Like I just like I rather set the bar really low, and anything that exceeds that, I just like.
And be
you just don't believe that kind of thing could happen to you. Like that's just how I feel anyway. I was like, there's no ways I get a 10,000x. Like there's no chance.
I mean, listen, it's happened. Why not? I mean,
exactly. But I just like mentally on my head can't wrap around like those numbers. It's just
there'd
insane.
be so many new billionaires in the world. It would be nuts. But you know, your videos are so good because you compare side by side. And again, guys, go and subscribe to his channel. It's really good content. You compare stuff side by side, like market cap and all these different specs, and then you do that kind of chart where it goes up and down, and you show the dips and the rises and the all-time highs. And like you said, it shows people that you can get this 200, 300, maybe 1,000x, but you're going to need to hold through some volatility. And that's definitely going to happen on PulseChain. But one of the other things that we know is a lot of people who sacrificed are hexagons or pulsicons. And we know what's happened, not only with Richard Hart projects, but Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? If you held that for 5, 10 years, you wouldn't be on suicide watch like most of the people that sold, right?
Exactly.
So
yeah, you never want to be the Bitcoin pizza guy like that. Like when you
find,
like I always tell the people that story is like, do you want to be the guy that's like spend, I don't know, 10,000 Bitcoin on a pizza, and then you're looking back like 10 years later and you're like, what was I thinking?
Yeah, I mean, you see some of the tweets, I don't know if you've seen them on Twitter, where people repost them and it's like someone saying like, oh, look at Bitcoin at $2.40. I'm getting out of this mess while I can and stuff.
Yeah, is this guy still alive? He's like, yes, I'm alive, but dead inside.
Exactly. You could, I mean, again, I'm not going to do the math live on stream, but I think it's like, you'd be a billionaire, right? If you put in a couple of grand in Bitcoin 10 years ago or something crazy.
Yeah.
So you don't even want to think about it. But yeah, when you see that on Twitter, it's just like, it's funny. And what do they say in self-development? Obviously, you need to learn from your own mistakes, but it's even better to learn from other people's mistakes.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
And I'm not selling my pulse on a 5 or 10, even 100x. No way. This is diamond handing.
Sure. Yeah.
So PulseChain's
PulseChain's
around the corner, we think. What are your thoughts on the launch date and when we'll go live?
I don't know, man. It's like I got swept up when I was like, oh, 2 weeks after the sacrifice, like we'll be up and running. And I was like, oh, London hard fork, okay, it's gonna be a bit of a delay. I was like, okay, August, September. So, yeah, I was like, now you're sitting here like February, and I've just given up on like time horizons. I don't know. Yeah. Like when you listen to him now, like it does sound closer. I don't know. I have no idea how difficult these things are that are still in the way. Exactly. I mean, it could take forever, but I'm hoping like April, like March, April, sometime around there. But I have no idea, man. He keeps
According
saying
to what
2
he's
months. I'm just
saying,
waiting for him to say 1 month. When he says 1 month, I'll get excited. Like he's still saying
yes.
a couple of months. When he just says like a month, then like I know we're getting somewhere.
Yeah, yeah, I know what you mean. But then he says stuff like, there's not much left to do. There's only the AMM bot and stuff. But then again, like you said, who knows what goes into that, right? We're not programmers. We're not devs. So
Yeah, I get so excited. I get excited when I'm listening to him. He's like, "Oh, it's just this and that, and we're done." So like a couple more months, and I'm like, "Okay, a couple more months." Like, okay, like how many months we talking here? So,
yeah,
yeah,
patience is a virtue for sure in crypto. And like, I mean, obviously, gains can come a lot faster than any asset classes, but it's like anything in life, man. Like, come on, you're a professional athlete. To up your skill level, to get your fitness up, it's going to take a long time, right? Or it's going to take at least a certain amount of time with dedication. And then obviously things might not go to plan. There might be injuries. There might be, problems with the team or something, right? So I'm sure you
yeah.
have good patience anyway.
Yeah, but
So,
it's like I mean, this community has been like just been hammered by FUD for forever, and I
yeah,
think he is, and like so like this in search of perfection. I think like he's just like he doesn't want to give anyone any reason to like pick holes on anything he does.
yeah.
So I don't think he's gonna like release it until it's 100% perfect because. I mean, as like you just get this feeling like he wants to dominate this whole like crypto space, and he doesn't want to give like any like leave any chink in the armor where guys can like pick holes.
100%. I mean, like, and again, the same for us, right? Even though we're like, when launch, we're not like teenagers that are just like here for the Lambo, right? We want this done properly. We want to create generational wealth. We want it to be an ecosystem that benefits everyone as a win-win. So as much as we're impatient and we want to see that pulse in our MetaMask, of course, we want it done properly. So, you know, it's
Sure.
yeah, and like you said, he doesn't want any FUD. He wants this 100%. Well, like he said, he wants all 3 or 4 charts, right? He wants Hex on Ethereum, Hex
Yeah.
on PulseChain and PulseX all going up and to the right. And how crazy would that be if they were all in the top 5 or something like that? So that needs to be
Yeah.
done
Or like
properly for sure.
201, 202, 203, 204. Something like
Yeah.
on Coin Market Cap, we'll just take like the top like 201, 202. We'll just be
Mm.
sitting there.
Yeah, but then you can gatekeep for so long, man. But
Sure.
again, you've got people getting hammered on Ethereum with gas, right? And you've got the same ticker and you've got the same NFTs. And I was talking to someone else about this. Even if you just come over to dump it, right? And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
screw this guy. I don't like him, or I don't like this copy. It's not like, and then you come over here and then you're like, hang on, 3-second blocks. Hang on,
Yeah. I mean, I forget the exact numbers. Like how many like Ethereum wallets? Like how many Ethereum holders are there? It's like this. It's like a in the upper like 100 million. I don't know, something like that. Like that's how many people will have access to Pulse like day one. Like literally just like flipping over like one setting and there they are on the Pulse chain.
I mean, you would
And
do it.
like yeah,
You would do it if somebody created like a clone of Hex, right, and it was on like another chain, and even if you didn't want it, but you had access to it because you had the keys, you just go over there and dump it or something, right? You
sure.
would.
Like the
So
way I always like look at airdrops is like why don't I just leave that and see what happens? Like someone gave it to me for free. Like why would I go and dump it like straight away? Like maybe
yeah,
I just like hold on to it. Like someone gave it to me for free. I may as well like sit and wait to see what happens. That's just like my mentality anyway. When there's
yeah.
like free airdrops, it's like to rush off and just dump it straight away. I mean, like what are you losing if you hold on and see what happens?
I mean, that's the mature mindset. You definitely got the right mindset there. But people will come over to dump straight away, and then they're going to see that it's cheaper, it's faster. You have all the same tickers. I heard Trayvon talking yesterday on Crypto Heartbeat, and they were just talking about how he saw BSC rise up, because I think BSC. How old is BSC? It's not old, is it? A year and a bit or something?
The chain is not that old. I think obviously the token existed before, but
Sure.
it had different. Yeah, I think the chain is only 2 years old.
Yeah, maybe 2
2 years
years
old.
old.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think middle of 2021, they had more. At one point, they were having more volume than Ethereum. You know what I mean? So, and I know BSC can be a rug factory. So
yeah.
these aren't all legitimate, like great projects and stuff. But what I'm saying is, people are building on it because it's cheaper, it's faster. And I'm sure you may have used BSC, right? It's
Yeah,
cheap.
I
It's
did
not.
most of my farming on like Polygon because for the exact same reason. It's like I can't do anything on Ethereum. Like what if I'm going to be farming here and like grabbing tokens here and throwing them over there and doing all this like degen stuff. It's like you can't do that when you're paying like $50 a transaction.
No.
So I was doing a lot of that stuff on Polygon, and it was effective. But then obviously then it's not full system state. Not everything's there, and bridging in and out it's a bit of a mission, and you're still gonna have to bridge back into Ethereum, which like again is the Ethereum gas fees. That's why I can't wait until like it's just one full ecosystem, fiat on ramps, off ramps, and we never have to go anywhere else.
It's over, man. It's what I mean. Obviously, I was thinking about this earlier. You know, obviously, first it goes live, PulseChain goes live, and then we have no bridge, and we just have trading between tokens, right? Then the next step, hopefully in the first couple of days, or maybe, I don't know, first 4 or 5 days, the bridge goes to Ethereum. Great. We get dollar values because now we can bridge over.
Sure.
And that's great because we can get out of Pulse and take it over to exchanges and whatever. And then we have the fiat on and off ramp direct, and it's game over. We're completely insulated, and people coming in and out, you know, for newbies, you know, onboarding, it's much easier. For us, getting in and out and trading, it's just going to be bananas.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun when you actually, I mean, I was just trying to onboard a couple guys into Hex the other day, and I was just like, this is so painful, man. Like trying to explain to them, and then like it's like, do you have ETH in your wallet? He's like, no. I was like, well, you're gonna have to load up like 50. I don't know how much it's gonna cost you, like $50.
So annoying,
$60. Man. And the guy, I just saw he's like heartbreaking. He's like, I've only got this much to put in, and I'm like, well, you're gonna like $50 just to thing, and that's even before you're gonna stake it. And I don't even want to start explaining to him like the S load and what it's gonna cost you to unstake it when it's done. And it's like it's just not conducive to like the newbies that are just getting in for the first time.
I mean, the only saving grace for that is you're going to get a double, and that double's going to probably be worth the same, if not more, quite quickly. Sure. But still, you know, if someone's not into crypto and you're like, okay, buy this, how much have you got? Okay, I've got $500. Okay, you're going to need about $570. And they're like,
exactly,
why?
Man.
Well, you're only going to get 500 actually, but really we need $70 for gas. And they're like, you know, it just sounds crazy. For us, we get it now. We've been in the system for a while.
Sure.
But it's you know, PulseChain is a long time coming, and it's been a lot of pain and frustration, obviously, but out of that, something beautiful is going to be born, right? A cheaper, faster, more secure network. So just an exciting time. My next question, man, is something that, you know, I'll put you on the spot. Everyone likes to hear it. And if you haven't got an answer, no worries. But what are your short and long-term price predictions for Pulse?
So I don't want to like go crazy and just like make like crazy assumptions. So all I did was like all my predictions for Pulse were based off like basically averages of what the other smart chains have done. And this is like the low bar because I think that Pulse outperforms most of these guys, especially the MT chains or whatever. I think the average first year was like 50x over like 15 of the top like smart contract platforms was 50x. Like 2-year hold was like 150x, and 3-year hold was like 250x.
Sure.
So that was like a 3-year price prediction, and that was just like when I was doing my investment thesis, like why am I investing in PulseChain? Why do I think like this is worthwhile throwing a whole bunch of cash at it? It was like just because if it just does average, like it's unbelievable. But and it should be based on everything that we know, be far superior to all these other chains. Then if 50x is the minimum, then I mean the sky's the limit from there. So I've just sort of told people that I've showed people this chart and said like, look, this is what all these other smart contract platforms have done. That's why I do the comparisons. It's like, this is what they've done. This is what they offer. This is what PulseChain is offering. What do you think PulseChain can do?
I mean, like you said, comparing it side by side, it's kind of, there's no comparison, but you don't want to just say, you don't want to be too bullish. I understand what you mean. You want to be conservative and not, you know, someone come back later on and say, oh, you said it was going to be 1,000x or something. But yeah, I get that.
Yeah. But so, it's just like, there's some, I mean, you look at some of the chains and you're like, I don't even know what this is. I've never used it. I don't even know what they do, whatever. And they did a 50x, they did a 100x, and you're like how these guys, it's crazy, man.
What did AVAX do? It was crazy, right? In the first year, was it 150x or something?
over 18 months, I think it was 200x. So what I've seen like a lot of people doing in the community, I mean, and it is cool, like the numbers look incredible, but they often say like from all-time low to all-time high. And I always just feel like that's a bit like misleading because no one can time the all-time low. Like no one knows where the all-time low is going to be. So I'm always looking at like all the guys who got into PulseChain now or PulseX now, we all got in on day one. So all my predictions are like ICO to all-time high. So when I've done all my comparisons, it's all been from the first day, because obviously, like if you're going to say like, oh yeah, but Pancake Swap did a 200x, it's like, yeah, it did, but from all-time low. And who's timing the all-time low? So it only did a 40x, I think, from launch.
Yeah, unless you've got a crystal ball, who's going to get in right at the bottom and then
Sure.
sell
I mean,
right.
maybe you wait for the first dip, but I mean, how big are you going to wait? Are you going to wait for 50%? You wait for 60%? Like, or you're just going to get on day one and see what happens.
So what do you think is going to happen when the chain goes live in terms of volatility, price appreciation?
Sure, man. Everyone just keeps on like speaking about like swapping PulseX for Pulse, and that's all I just keep on hearing. And obviously from Richard as well, he's like, well, if you want to get Pulse, you can just get PulseX and then swap across before the bridge goes live. And everyone just keeps on like pumping this narrative. So I don't know how many people are listening to that. So that could be very interesting if you. I think Pulse could see it like quite a quick surge in the beginning, just the ratio, because I don't know. I know it might be interesting play to go the other way if you see a nice ratio developing where sort of Pulse gets a nice little bump up before the bridge, and then maybe you scoop up some PulseX. I don't know. Like as I said, I'm the most useless trader in the world. I probably won't be playing around like pre-bridge.
Gotcha. So you'll just be sitting on your hands and just enjoying looking at your tokens sitting in your MetaMask, right?
Yeah, unless I see like everybody is just swapping Pulse for PulseX, and all of a sudden there's this massive like disparity in the ratio. Maybe like I just like get a couple more PulseX tokens. I don't know. That's like the only play I can see that I would like maybe understand and think might be a decent play. But otherwise, it's just like I'll just let this play out. I mean, what is it? He said it's like gonna be like 2 days or like it's gonna be a short period of time, man.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it can't go on for too long, but it sounds like there'll be a couple of days where they'll just be trading between tokens. I'm guessing you sacrifice for PulseX, correct?
Yeah.
So
not at like.
No, go for it.
I'm still more bullish on Pulse. Like I don't know. So like my ratios are like a little bit more weighted, like Pulse.
Yeah.
Pulse
Well,
direction.
I mean, Pulse is the train tracks, right? We need without Pulse, nothing functions. So I'm definitely leaning more towards that myself. But that kind of leads into another question that I was going to ask you. Maybe you just answered it there. What are you most bullish on out of everything on the ecosystem? You know, Pulse, PulseX, Hex, Loan Token, whatever, like, or any other project that you know is going to be on the Pulse chain. What are you most bullish on?
First up, like PulseChain, just because like I've run the numbers and I know what like layer ones have done. I mean, the narrative might change, so I think you've got to be like sort of fluid with these things. But a big Hex, like I think PX is gonna do well. But I think people in crypto like the new shiny object, so maybe the other two do well, like in the beginning, and then long term, I just feel like it's hard to beat the Hex design, the staking mechanism. It's tough. It's tough. Like I think a lot of people will be taking a lot of their gains into Hex and saving themselves from themselves, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it does, right? Takes you away from being able to sell.
Yeah.
And then if
so
you saw,
I don't know. I like Pulse and Hex. I will have Pulse X for sure, and maybe I'll like mess around with a bit of farming and get a bit of the incentive token. But yeah, for the most part, it's just going to be holding on to Pulse and Hex, I think.
Well, there's so many different plays. Like I was saying, I'm not sure if you know Jexa. He's got a channel, and he did a great video which was about positive price loops. You know,
I watched that.
Yeah, amazing. You know, because all these things feed into each other. You have obviously Hex, which is your savings account, Pulse, which is your blockchain, and obviously the token of the blockchain. You've got PulseX, your exchange. You've got liquid loans to the bank. So you can use all these things and every time you buy something else, you're pumping the price. And if you're holding all of them, you know, it's a positive loop. A lot of people have been going on about their strategies. I'm sure you've heard of Haunteds and Hotprills and all of that.
I've gone through all of those loan strategies. Been pretty cool. I saw the one where they've sort of like summarized them all into one image. Was been pretty cool.
Really, really cool. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that? Do you like one more than another, or?
I do. Yeah, I mean, I do like Haunted is maybe okay. It's not risky because he's always using like 1,000% collateral, but he's like always going back into Pulse all the time. And I suppose like I mean, each to their own. I I think Hexacat. I quite enjoyed his strategy, but he's sort of like he moves with the market to see what, if it's doing really well, then he'll go like back into Pulse. If it's a little bit like up and down, then he'll stay in like USDL, and then something like that. So it's been interesting to look through all of those. Hey, there he is.
Yeah.
So I actually been having a like back and forth conversation with him. He knows. I think he's been in the liquid loan chat for quite some time. So
yeah,
I've been going backwards and forwards with him. He's a cool guy.
yeah, he's a very cool guy. I saw a question in here actually that I was going to ask you. How many footballs have you got in now into the ecosystem?
Oh, yeah, quite a few, man. Couple of international guys.
Nice.
Yeah, I'd say probably nearing 10 now. Got a couple other guys into the PulseX sacrifice. A lot of them missed Pulse. So there's a bit of FOMO there. So I was like, well, here's PulseX guys. So
yeah,
got a whole bunch of guys into PulseX. A couple Hexicans as well. But they all, I got them all in at like 30, 40 cents. So hopefully, hopefully they're still my mates. So
it's so hard when you do that. When you do that, isn't it? I've done it to family and friends, and I'm like, definitely it's going to go back up. Don't worry.
Exactly. So hopefully we can still be teammates and stuff in a couple months.
As long as they got diamond hands, they'll be fine.
Yeah. No, I got them to stake it also. Like I told them, don't bother me until like your stake's available. Like I'm telling you, like you'll be making money. Don't worry.
Exactly. There's only 2 times the price matters: when you buy and when you sell.
Exactly.
The rest is irrelevant.
What strategy have you been looking at, man? Like out of interest.
Sure. So I like haunted strategy because you're 1,000% collateralized. But again, it depends on the market, right? What's going on? If the price is going up all the time, haunteds make sense. If things are in a bear market, then maybe getting into more stable coins makes sense. Sure. Like Hodpools, where she uses the loan token. And I'm not sure if you're aware of the system, but the loan token is a fee generating token in the liquid loans protocol. So, for me, it would depend on what's going on. And I think, like you said before, you have to be flexible, not only in crypto, but in life, right? You've got to be flexible because, as we know, life doesn't always go to plan. So I think if we're in a bull market, and again, who knows what's going to happen? I think it's going to be quite volatile at the beginning, but who knows? It could take off and not come back at all, right? Because just with the haunted strategy and all the pulsicans and hexagons being in the ecosystem, and if that's the case, then maybe I'm leaning much more towards the haunted strategy. Again, staying safely collateralized 1,000% or more, and then minting some pulse every time the price goes up 10% or something like that. But again, if we're in a dip, then I'm looking maybe more towards stability pool, loan token, and generating the fees in the system. That's probably where I'm at. And of course, I believe in Hex. Hex is a savings account. So if there's ever any dips, I'm going to be looking to acquire more Hex, more Pulse, more PulseX, more loan. I mean, that's going to probably pretty much be my portfolio diversity. Yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose a lot also depends on how much like the delegating rewards are for Pulse. Because I think if those are like substantial, you're talking about like close to 10%. Then I think it like alters a lot of my strategy, because if the yield is really good just to delegate, then I might do a lot of that.
Yeah.
But if it's, because obviously the fees are going to be so low on PulseChain, I'm assuming that the delegating rewards are not going to be great for a while until sort of the fees build up and the deflationary stuff takes place.
Sure.
So then I looked. I mean, 100 like stay high collateral. If I like start borrowing against Pulse, I mean, I always like to earn yield on the stuff that's guaranteed. So I like the idea of like just putting USDL in the staking pool and sort of working and just earning
in the stability
Pulse
pool,
and stability pool rather, and then getting those 2 tokens, and then sort of farming those 2 tokens, basically putting Pulse back into the vault and putting loan into the thing, and just like that whole feedback loop.
Passive income.
But I like being predominantly in sort of USDL, because then you can even like play with, say, I don't know, 600% collateral, and then if you just see the market turning, you just straight away like pay off your loan if that's really what you're worried about. It just means you got to keep an eye a little closer, like look at the market. Not that anything's really going to drop. I don't know what a 600% like it's a 70% drop or 80% drop, like
Yeah.
it's not likely that that happens in a day. So if you're just keeping like an eye on the market, like you could play with, I don't know, 500, 600%. And
Mm.
then if you're just playing with the USDL strategy, and then if the market does start to turn, you just basically pay off your loan, and there you are, and you just sit in Pulse and wait.
It's
So that's
smart.
like,
That's
oh
smart. Yeah.
yeah,
Because the stability pool, yeah, you're not locked up. So you could just withdraw at any time and then pay off your loan, like you said. And if you want to
sure,
hold on to your Pulse, or, I mean, again, not financial advice, but you could even mint more USDL if you think the market's really turning, let yourself get liquidated and then go to
yeah,
PulseX and buy up more. So there's multiple plays with that. But
sure.
yeah, yeah, like you said, being flexible and just seeing what's going on with the market is really interesting, and collecting those fees. I mean, it sounds like even before you got into this, you were always looking at ways to do, yield farming or passive income.
Sure, and it doesn't feel as much like degen as, I mean, I was yield farming with Dino Swap and Dino this, and like the most ridiculous coins in the world, and you're like, well,
Yeah.
at least here I'm literally putting up like a coin I really believe in as
Mm.
collateral, and like borrowing like a stable coin, and you're like I know how this works. This is doesn't feel like I'm absolutely degening.
Mm.
And there's like a certain level of well, there's risk always with these, like there's
Of
always
course.
risk,
Yeah.
but I mean, yeah, you feel like crypto is the wild west, but you'd like to sort of not get burnt, like if you can avoid it.
Yeah. I mean, of course, there's always risk in any DeFi project, in any project. I mean, there's risk in everything in life. You leave the front door, there's going to be
Sure.
a risk, right? So obviously, you need to weigh up those risks. But getting into some yield farming on some unknown BSC project is highly more likely that things are going to go ruggy
Exactly.
compared to a Richard Hart project
Yeah, when you
or
find yourself like hanging out on a rug doctor and like trying to work out if something's a scam, then you probably already like in dangerous territory.
exactly. If it looks like a scam and smells like a scam, probably is.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and BSC, like I said, it's good. It's been good for like cheap transactions and showing that not PulseChain, Ethereum can have a copy that works, a proof of stake copy that works. But on the other side, there's been a lot of rugs on there, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of rugs on PulseChain. You're just going to have to use your brain to an extent, and not let the mammalian or the monkey part of your brain get overrun with greed, thinking this thing offers 1,000,000%. You know what I mean, in one day or something like that.
Yeah.
And how is that sustainable? Obviously, it's
I've
not.
seen, I mean, the market showed us in the last couple of months, like what happens to those projects. I mean,
Mm.
it's always, it's always fun until the music stops, and then it's yeah, it's painful.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been around the block a little bit. Sounds like you have too. And I feel my diversity is going to be in PulseX, Hex, and liquid loans. Now, of course, I'm not shut off to anything else. If other good projects come up, I'm definitely going to look at them and see what they do. But obviously, all of those are Richard Hart projects apart from liquid loans. And liquid loans is a Richard Hart inspired project anyway.
Yeah,
Immutable, no governance, no admin keys. So I'm
I'm really
I'm gonna be
excited to see
sticking with that.
who comes over from Ethereum.
Mm,
I think that's going to be interesting. Like the guys like Decentraland, if those guys start like they don't work on Ethereum anymore. It's like, well,
mm,
let's go there, or OpenSea. Like I think those will be like that'll be really cool if you start to see like the big Ethereum boys start to say, well, this doesn't function anymore, or maybe we capture that market as well and we go there. Um, I think that'll be super bullish for PulseChain when you start to see the big Ethereum projects start to move across and start to adopt PulseChain. I think that's when we see
100%.
virality and you start to see like the real gains. I think that's when
Yeah,
you
I
start
mean,
to see your 1,000x and your 10,000x when you see mass adoption
yeah.
on the chain.
Yeah, can you imagine like Decentraland or something like that that's been obviously just been completely disabled and crippled by the gas fees, and they start tweeting out, to all their followers or in their Telegram, like, hey, come over to PulseChain or whatever. And then we've got the fiat on and off ramps, and we can send USDL or loan or Pulse, whatever, to an exchange. It's just game over, man. It's
Yeah,
game over.
I mean that like it might even be the coolest project in the world, but if no one can use it, it's like, what's the point?
Mm,
I mean, everyone had like this really cool idea. It's like, well, Ethereum fees were 20 cents. This project's 100% going to work. And
mm,
then in like a year's time, it's like literally no one, like I need to move this thing to there and it cost me $50. Like, no, like you're supposed to be doing that 20 times a day in that application, and now that doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be exciting when those guys start to adopt, and I think that's the whole intention and the whole reason. I mean, as much as it was just designed for the hexagons in terms of like ending stakes, and I think it's so much more now. It has the bones to be like an incredible layer one.
I think this could possibly change the whole crypto space as we know it. You know, people might start doing full system state copies all over the place, and you know, really pushing forward with proof of stake. You know, making proof of work just this archaic thing, because as much as they like to bang on about, oh, it's all renewable energy, it still costs, it's still energy being burned, about 25%. You know,
sure,
and
someone's still producing that energy. So why spend that energy that we've produced on mining blocks when there's a way you can do it for nothing? So
the way you can do it for nothing, and then that energy that could be, you know, that's been produced from whatever, hydro or whatever, or turbine, could go to actually people who need it. You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, I mean, I live in like Southern Africa, where it's like South Africa, we're still decent, but I mean, I've traveled through a lot of Africa, and believe me, there's a lot of people that need that electricity more than a Bitcoin miner.
Yeah, 100%, man, 100%. I can't imagine. So what do you think the ecosystem looks like in a year? And not in price wise, but just what's on it, how is it running, projects?
Man, like already I see there's like 1,000,001. I mean, I don't know if these are any like decent projects. I mean, there's obviously like you guys, Liquid Loans, and there's one or two other like sort of meme coins that have sort of popped up here and there. But yeah, nothing. I think there's a lot going on in the background that we don't know about. I think a lot of projects that are not ready to sort of pull the trigger or have been building and are not ready to say anything until things get like closer. I think it comes really quick when we launch.
Yeah,
I think a lot of projects will also wait to see like how much adoption is there on PulseChain, how many people are actually moving across. And when they start to see those numbers, I think they're going to have no option but to move across. And when they see their coins sitting there as well, like, why would you invalidate them when you can just come and use them?
Yep, 100%, 100%. Just come over and just try it out, you know, free trial. Come over and just see how it goes. And I think that also anyone watching this, I'm sure lots of hexagons and pulsicons are watching this now, you know, we need adoption on this. So don't start screaming scam at everyone who tries to come over to PulseChain.
Sure, I mean, like, just because you're not going to invest in it doesn't mean that it shouldn't exist on the ecosystem. Like, if you're going to bring adoption from somewhere else, then please launch on PulseChain, because I'm holding Pulse token, and I'm very happy that you're bringing adoption onto the chain. Like, literally, if all the SHIB guys jump across to PulseChain, then like, I'm not going to buy SHIB, but gee, I'm really happy that everyone that's like coming across, no, by all means, I'm not 100%. Cut off from anything, but I might not like the most likely won't be investing, but I'm very happy that you're on the chain, to be honest.
100%, man. I'm not into NFTs, you know, but come over and play. You know, we want you here. And even Richard says it. What did he say before? He was saying, it was a quote. He was like, it doesn't. Oh, so if you hold it, it's like it's world changing. If you don't hold it, it's a scam, and that's what everyone says in crypto. And even hexagons do that. Even pulsicons do that, right? They're like, Hex is it, and everything else, or everything that's not a Richard Hart project is a scam, and anyone that's building anything is a scammer. And it's like, I get you need to be inquisitive and you need to do your own research, but anyone building something or anyone coming over from Ethereum or BSC, they should be welcomed with open arms. And listen, there are going to be scams. It's crypto. This is open source software. There will be scams and there will be rug pulls. And obviously we don't want to see it, and we don't want anyone to lose their money. But again, everyone's an adult, right? And they need to do their own research.
Yeah.
So
I just try to like avoid the whole maximalist approach. It's like when people say to you, it's like Messi or Ronaldo. It's like, well, I prefer not to have to choose between the two. Like, they're probably the two like greatest footballers I've ever seen. Like, just because I like Messi doesn't mean that Ronaldo is just like rubbish. He's also good. Like, just because I prefer one over the other doesn't mean that the other one is not just as good. There's no
100%.
need to like, because like, yes, I'm a Hexican, I only invest in Hex, that that another investment is not like legit for somebody else. It might not be my principles or what I deem a great investment, but something else might catch someone else's fancy. I mean, everything is subjective at the end of the day.
100%. 100%, man. It's kind of like, personally, this is my opinion. When you become a maxi in anything, a lot of the time you've become what you hated, right? Because a lot of the Bitcoin maxis at the beginning of Bitcoin, what was everyone saying about Bitcoin? It's a scam, it's rat poison. And now you get Bitcoin maxis saying that Ethereum's a scam and Hex is a scam. And then people become Hexicans and they're like, oh, thank God I found home and I found something that's real DeFi, and then everything else is a scam. And it's like, not necessarily. So like you said, you're more attached to a certain community, definitely. We're Hexicans, we're Pulsecans and all that stuff. But having that open mind and being flexible and not being closed off to anything, I think helps you in every area of life. Because if you knew it already, if you knew everything already, you'd have an amazing body, you'd be a billionaire, you'd have the best, wife or husband. Everything would be amazing because you knew everything already. So there's always stuff to learn. So what does the future look like for you? What does 2022 look like for you? Because I know you said you're winding down your career, right? Or you're in the last few years.
Yeah, we finish in May this season. We're sort of fighting for promotion. I'm in the first division at the moment,
Nice.
so that's a big goal to get this team promoted. So if that's the case, then maybe another year. Yeah, I don't know. I've got young kids, so like the life of a footballer is actually pretty nice for family life, because I only train like a couple hours a day and then I'm home with family. So
Nice.
the longer I can extend that, so then I try to look after my body so that I can play for as long as I can, because it's just really cool with the kids to be able to be at home a lot. So I might try to get a couple more seasons out of these legs. Yeah, I don't know. PulseChain might force me into retirement if we get a 1000x in a couple of years. Maybe
what a bad way to be forced into retirement.
Yeah, it'll ease me into retirement.
Nice.
Yeah, so yeah, it's just going to be exciting, man. Hopefully, create some more content when we have more information. It's been a boring time as a content creator.
Yeah,
everyone's just like the price of Hex is not moving. The due date of PulseChain is not moving. Yeah, I'm just waiting for more stuff. I'm just waiting for things to develop, and I think that's when I listen to that crypto heartbeat with Trayvon, I was the same. Like everyone's just waiting.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, also what like the Hex price is doing. It's also just sort of waiting. Like just give us some good news. Just give us a date, and then I think you're gonna see things start to move.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we both know, and everyone watching this should know, that the Hex price has been completely retarded by the Ethereum gas fees. Like you just said, trying to onboard someone and telling them they're going to lose $70 straight away to gas fees, and then the S load of coming off from ending a stake. So yeah, some good news would help the obviously Hex on an Ethereum pump, and then I think once PulseChain goes live, I think we're off to the races.
Yeah, but I think even we just get a sniff of PulseChain and everyone wants to get that copy of Hex. I don't think we've seen everyone sort of ape in yet to get their PulseChain copy of Hex. And I think once we get a sniff of PulseChain, I think we'll start to see things move again.
Of course, double, even if it just equals the same amount, and then you've doubled your money. But it could be a lot more, especially over time. So like you said, you might try and get a few more seasons out of those legs. And then what do you think? Maybe retire or full-time into crypto?
I don't think I'll ever retire. Like, I'm a busybody. I won't retire, but like I won't sit on my backside.
Sure.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure where life's going to take me. Not full-time into crypto. I think that being a footballer was stressful enough. I don't need to add more stress to my life.
Sure. Gotcha.
I enjoy creating content. I think that's fun.
Well, that's what I kind of meant, maybe coming into a full-time or part-time content creator and just educating people like us, younger versions of us.
Yeah, I like this. Like, it's cool if it can grow organically and you don't need it to become like your full-time job. If you can just do it, because I just did it because I was doing it for myself.
Mm.
sort of to work out like in terms of investment, like thesis and that sort of stuff. So I was doing it for myself anyway and showing some of my mates. And I was like,
Mm.
well, like let me just put this out to the world and see the response. And it's been okay. So I suppose I'll just keep doing that, and if it gains some traction, then it does. So
Yeah,
that'll
man.
be cool.
Yeah, you've got some great content. So before you go, it's not often I have professional athletes on the stream. So give us some of your tips, some of your fitness tips.
Mate, I
Obviously,
think I
your
should be
workout's a
taking
lot
tips
more
from you,
intense than
man.
most people.
I've seen you working out, man. I think you should be giving me tips. What do you do? Like, what is your background?
So I grew up doing a lot of martial arts.
Okay,
So I didn't have really have a choice in that. You know, my dad was a martial arts teacher, so I had to do it, and I hated it,
okay,
right? Because what 3 or 4 year old wants discipline and wants to get up on the weekend early and have to like run and punch and kick. But I got to like 10, 11. I'm like, this is pretty cool. I can kick people in the
yeah,
head. So yeah, then my background was in martial arts, and then just I've always loved fitness, man. And then when I was growing up, and then I got into media, and I was broke, and I was a personal trainer on the side. So yeah, I've always been into fitness, and even now I'm into like healthy living. I like anti-aging stuff. You know,
cool,
I know
man.
the key is obviously eating healthy and exercising often, but I like to, you know, take supplements and stuff like that. But yeah, my basis was my basics was martial arts, and then just got into resistance training and stuff like that, really, man.
Yeah, yeah,
But
man.
you know, you're a professional athlete. Your body is an instrument.
Yeah, but I've like throughout my career, also like I delved down. I've like qualified as a nutritionist and a personal trainer and all that stuff. Just
There
because
you
I'm
go.
always like thinking about what am I going to do after football. So
Yeah.
I've looked down that thing and like became like a CrossFit level 1 coach. So I've like delved
Wow.
in all these different styles of training
Mm.
where I've done like went through like a whole period where I was like deep into CrossFit, and then a lot of the time just sort of doing a lot of resistance training. And it's always just like a lot of the stuff is almost like injury prevention,
Mm.
like from a footballer's point of view, because it also
Sure.
gets to that point where it's just like I swear like every part of my body, I probably injured like almost every joint in my body. So it's like
Hamstrings,
just
hip flexors, all that stuff, right?
oh man, and my ankles are a joke. So it's like always just doing like all stability stuff and
Sure.
balance stuff and all that sort of stuff. And then like just even just like squatting and stuff helps my ankles so much because like
Yeah.
my mobility in my ankles is terrible. So
Sure.
like like heavy squats helps like the mobility in my ankles. So all those sort of things just over time, like learning all these things has been pretty cool. So that's will be a basis of knowledge that I think I'll use post career.
For sure, man. I hate it, and this is just my personal view on it. Maybe because I like to stay fit and healthy myself, like you. But I hate it when I see professional athletes. Do you remember Maidana, who fought Mayweather before? He was, I think, he's an Argentinian.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And they finish, you know, they retire, and then they're just a balloon within a year or so, and it's just like,
Yeah. Well, wasn't your yeah, Ricky Hatton was another one,
yeah, Ricky
but
Hatton,
he was
another
like
one.
depression and stuff. I think.
Yeah, I think, yeah, obviously, you know, there's obviously
Yeah,
mental aspects and stuff into that go into it, but I just think that it's so sad that you're at the top of your game, right? Like you're literally one of the best. Maybe you didn't win the championship or whatever, but you're one of the best in the world at boxing or whatever. You're a sprinter, and then you see a couple of years later, and they turn up to events, right? Because they're obviously like a celebrity still,
yeah,
but it's just like, come on, like. So anyway, that's just my pet peeve. But
yeah.
yeah,
No, but it's like I think like a lot of the time with it, it's like football, like it's like an adrenaline rush, like playing the
mm,
game on the weekend. There's sportsmen in general, like if you're a fighter, maybe the fight you build up to this fight, that's like your adrenaline rush. That's your hit basically. And when you retire, you don't have that anymore. So like
mm,
I think for a lot of the guys, it becomes like the night out, the booze, the drugs, whatever. Whereas I
sure,
think like for a lot of like I don't know, like I would still crave that like adrenaline rush from I don't know whatever, like do an Ironman or do like
mm,
something like it. I just feel like for your mental well-being, exercise like there's never been anything else that has like relieved stress as well as exercise has done for me. Like my wife, if I like don't if like in my off season, if I don't go to the gym or something like for 2 3 days, she'll literally like send me to the gym. She's like, "You're getting
too
like
grumpy.
you, yeah, exactly,
Yeah, I mean that's a good that's a good, you know, people say OCD is bad, but not if it's, you know, making yourself better in a certain way. And
yeah." It's like meditation for me. Actually, like going to the gym, putting on like music, and just like
mm,
banging out like a session for an hour. Like literally, I'll finish the gym and I'll be like, not a single thing crossed my mind besides like I was in the moment, like the whole time I was there. And the same thing happens with football. And I think
that's
like
so
a lot
cool.
of people need to do that, like to detach from like where you actually are so immersed in something where you literally like that that's the only thing you focus on. And I think like being at the gym and playing football does that for me. So I'm just like slightly worried like what happens post career, where I think I'll miss that a lot.
Well, I mean, yeah, of course, change is inevitable in life, and obviously, if you've been doing it for what, I guess, the good part of 20 years or something.
Yeah,
Since you're a kid.
like since a child, but professionally
Yeah.
for like 15 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, change is obviously always scary, but from what I get from you, you're a go-getter. You're not, like you said, you're not the kind of guy to sit on your ass and just retire. You're going to be involved probably in crypto, in content. I'm sure you're going to have some other side things going on, and I'm sure you're going to keep your fitness up even to an above average standard, right?
Yeah.
Wicked,
for
man.
sure.
Well, listen, this has been really, really great to come onto the channel. I appreciate your time. And
awesome, man.
I just want
follow your stuff religiously, man. It's really cool.
Oh, thank you, brother. Thank you. No, like I said, I watched you first, I think, on Motley's channel or something like that, and I came across your channel afterwards, and like I said, great content. So tell everyone where they can find out more about you.
I do a lot of my posting on Twitter, so that's mmorton6 on Twitter, and then Diamond Hands is the YouTube channel, where I do a lot of the crypto stuff. Yeah, that's it.
Great, bro. Well, listen, you'll have to come back on when Pulse goes live and further down the line. But yeah, it's been great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, cheers, Matt. Thanks a lot, man.
Take care, buddy.
Cheers, bro.
Guys, that was a great interview. If you like that video, do go over to Micheal Morton's channel, Diamond Hands, and subscribe to his channel. And also, if you're not a subscriber of this channel, do hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so you're notified every time we drop new videos and content, which is pretty much on the daily at the moment. You can also hit that like button, share the video with someone who you think it may benefit, and also drop a comment below for the algo. It does help us out. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.